Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Dharma Helper, and this is DH Reviews. This is my Season 1, Episode 2 review of Scorpion. If you missed earlier in the week, I put out my Season 1, Episode 2 review of Gotham, and my Season 2, Episode 2 review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. If you want to watch those will be linked in the description of this video, as well as placed in annotations right here on the screen. Gotham will be right here by the Joker, and then if you want to go ahead and watch my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. review, that'll be right here by Walter White. With that said, Season 1, Episode 2 of Scorpion was called Single Point of Failure, and it opened up in another flashback to Walter's life in Ireland and his early childhood, and we see him in the school sort of back-talking to his teacher, but we also see that relationship between him and his sister, and sort of the early days of that. And I liked the flashbacks. I like the flashbacks in the first episode and in the second episode, and I have a feeling they're going to kind of continue to do that, and to show us the early days of Walter and the events in his life that shaped him into his mind view and his world view that we know of today. And maybe something I would like to see would be a Walter flashback to his time working with Cave, and sort of the early days of that relationship, and the animosity that developed there, and the reasoning behind their breakup and their separation. We open up in the present day. We see Walter is reading a letter, and the letter basically describes that his sister has MS, and it's pretty degenerative, and it's affecting her mobility and all this different stuff. And that weighs pretty heavily on Walter. We see him act out, and we see him, be different and just not himself. Over the course of this episode, we see him dial into the case that much harder, just as motivation behind his sister's condition. And the case for this particular episode was they were called in to investigate a mysterious illness, which already has Sylvester on edge because Sylvester's a bit of a germaphobe, we're finding out. And so the basic idea of this case was a governor's daughter is infected with a mysterious illness, and they need to figure out why, and they need to solve the case and find a cure and bring the person who did this to justice. And they find out by some kind of deductive reasoning and figuring things out that the virus that is infecting this little girl is genetically modified only to infect her. I think Walter figures this out because he figures out that a message that was left on the laptop that basically says, it's your fault she's sick. The message was a virus that was specifically designed and specifically targeting that laptop. So he kind of chains that together and figures out that the reason that the only member of this family is sick is the little girl is because the virus was designed for that little girl. So then they sort of do a little bit more deductive reasoning and a little bit more geniusing and figuring things out, and they realize that this is connected to the governor's past relationship with a drug company, and that all these different kids are getting sicker and sicker, and they all have ties to this drug company. So they figure that whoever is doing this has to be doing it out of revenge or some kind of motivation behind targeting members of this drug company. And so over the course of their investigation, they have to get the list of trial participants for a specific drug that they think is behind all this stuff. And to get into there, they basically have to have Sylvester break into the drug company and get the list of trial participants. And so Sylvester, again, he's a germaphobe, so he's really reluctant to kind of go out there and to put himself in that position where he has to go through a bio lab and all this stuff. And we see Walter sort of not really have that high EQ that we talked about in the first episode, and he doesn't really know how to motivate Sylvester and how to keep Sylvester calm and all this stuff. But actually Paige does, and she kind of scolds Walter and says, go easy on him and all this stuff. And I like seeing that, and I like seeing Paige already start to contribute to the team and bring that high EQ that we talked about in the first episode, in the first review, and really bring that softer touch and bring out more of the team's capabilities, because honestly, I don't believe that Sylvester would have succeeded if Paige hadn't done what she did. And we see more of the Happy-Toby relationship develop as well over the course of this mission, because their role in the mission was to act as a distraction for the guy so that they could spoof his badge and have Sylvester enter without anybody really noticing. And we see more of that interaction between those two. And like I talked about in my first episode review, I'd like to see that develop more, and I think that they're going to develop a relationship, because there are a couple lines in this episode that Happy talks to Toby about, basically trying to give him a bit of a pep talk and put him on the right path and say, you know what, your ex-wife, because Toby's ex-wife is a huge part of his arc in this episode, and his dealing with, now he's got all this money and he can treat her right and he can make up with his ex-wife. And Happy is basically saying, you know what, maybe you can move on. Maybe it's time to, move on. That's not necessarily healthy or good for you. Give it a rest already. And so their relationship sort of develops in this episode, and I like seeing them work together again, and I think we're going to see more of that in this first season. So they get the drug trial information out of the biolab and all this stuff, and they find out that the guy who's doing this is, I think, a biochemist or a biochemistry professor. And they see from his lab, because they go into his lab and they see all this different stuff, and they see that there's another sequence virus that they haven't identified, and so they do a little bit of work trying to figure out who that might be, and it turns out that it's the governor, and it's a little bit different virus than the ones that he's been infecting these kids with, in that it stops his heart immediately. So they figure out that this professor guy is essentially going to kill the governor, and so they call the governor up, and he's not answering his phone, and it looks like maybe the professor called him and set up a meeting where he's going to have this antidote. And so they take all the professor's information and they go out and they stop him they go out to try and stop him from killing the governor, and they find the governor in just in time, pretty much, because the professor sprays the aerosol stuff in the governor's face, which had the virus in it. And so to save the governor's life, Walter does a little bit of quick thinking, and he sets the fire alarm off in the building, which sends the sprinklers down, and it sort of dissipates the mist, and he saves the governor, and they stop the professor and all this different stuff. And so my biggest criticism of the first episode was that the story didn't feel fluid, but this story, this sort of arc for this episode, felt very fluid, and it felt like they made a huge improvement over that. And so that was what I enjoyed most about this episode. Towards the end of the episode, we see a little bit more of Cabe's relationship with the team and his past as well. We see he talks about his daughter, and we learn that his daughter, it's implied that his daughter also passed away very young. And so that sort of speaks to his motivations in his past. And I like seeing the softer side of Cabe, Agent Gallo, in this episode. And I think that's going to play into his arc here in the first season. And honestly, I think I might have been wrong in my season 1, episode 1 review, where I talked about how Gabe might put Ralph or Paige in danger, or how he might have manipulated Walter a little bit into forming this team. after seeing this episode and after seeing the softer side of Cave, I think he might actually be genuinely invested in forming this team and solving all these different mysteries and putting all this stuff and bringing these guys to justice. So I was actually pleasantly surprised, and I'm glad I might have been wrong about that. Towards the end of the episode, everybody's having a barbecue and celebrating, and Happy, who had talked in the episode about how tools never let you down, and people do. We saw a little bit more of Happy's character develop, which again was a problem that I had in the first episode, is that we didn't really see Happy's character. But in this episode, we saw that. And we saw how maybe in her past there was an event where somebody had hurt her pretty deeply. And so maybe she threw herself into her engineering and studies and all that stuff and became an engineer. And that was her motivation. And I enjoyed that. And then we saw that scene where the screwdriver, whatever she was messing with the bike, that broke. And so that led her to go up to the barbecue. And then, again, over the course of this episode, Paige talks to Walter about his sister. And we saw more of that relationship develop. And I like that. And again, I think that's going to develop into something a little bit romantic and maybe leave Sylvester, like I said, because I think Paige and Walter are obviously developing a relationship, and Toby and Happy are obviously developing a relationship. So I think Sylvester is going to be left out here in the cold. But we'll see where that goes over the course of the season. In this episode, again, Walter gives Paige a slip of paper on the roof because Paige had been setting up the telescope for Ralph during the barbecue. And Walter gives her a slip of paper that has his information. Like, if you look at the curvature of the moon and Orion's belt, it creates a perfect sin line or something like that. And so we saw more of Walter helping Paige connect with Ralph, and I enjoyed that. And I think that's going to be something that we see over the course of this first season, is that Ralph sort of getting closer and closer to his mom, and Paige sort of coping with that and growing with that and learning more and more about what makes Ralph so unique and so special and so intelligent. And if they can meet in the middle, where Ralph sort of emotionally opens up and Paige and Walter sort of intellectually meet Ralph in the middle, I think that's going to make for a very nice maybe season finale moment or something like that, where we see that meeting of the middle and we see Ralph grow into the person that Walter wasn't able to grow into. Because we see, like I said, there's a very interesting duality and dynamic between Walter and past Walter, and then we see Ralph. And I think that Walter is trying to make sure, like I said in my season 1 review, that Ralph doesn't make that same mistake of not being emotionally invested. So we saw that, and I enjoyed that, and I look forward to that moving forward here in season 1. With that said, that'll just about do it for my season 1 episode 2 review of Scorpion. And that does it for my reviews for this week. So again, if you want to see those reviews, check out the links in the description. I put everything in a playlist this week. So again, just to try to keep the channel moving forward here and try to try new things out and grow the channel and keep things clean and professional. So if you want to check those playlists out, every time I upload a video, it'll go right into that playlist. Follow me on Twitter @TheDHReviews, and you will figure out exactly when I'm uploading these videos, because I talk about them and I tweet about them all the time on Twitter. If you like these videos and you enjoyed the reviews for this week, leave a like so that I know that I'm doing the right things here and that I'm moving forward in a good direction. Comment and talk about the videos with me so that I can get feedback and continue to grow the channel and continue to move in a direction that makes a lot of sense, and grow the channel into something that's cool and impressive and professional, because that's my goal, is to put a lot of effort and a lot of professional touches here on the channel. And more importantly, comment and talk about the episodes with me, because I enjoy that interaction with you guys, talking about these episodes and talking about, for example, our theories about who the Joker might be on Gotham, or our theories on what might happen with Ward and Skye and Fitz on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And maybe you guys have a theory about the development of that relationship between Cabe and Walter, and you want to talk about that. We'll talk about that. I'd love to talk about that with you guys. Yeah, so comments, likes, subscribes, those sort of things really help the channel grow and really give me a lot of motivation to continue making these videos. I want to thank everybody who has shown so much support, not only this week but last week. The channel has done a lot in just 2 weeks' time. We have, I think, 24 subscribers, 400 something views, all this different stuff that's really reinforcing and really motivating me to continue to do this stuff. With that said, we're officially in October, which, if you watched my welcome to the channel video, I talked about how in October I'd like to start reviewing Constantine, and that comes out on NBC October 24th. So towards the end of the month here, you're going to see not 3 videos, but 4 videos a week. My Constantine videos will come out on Monday. So with that being said, the schedule here at the end of October is going to be Monday is going to be Constantine videos. Tuesday will be my Gotham videos. Wednesday will be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then Thursday will be Scorpion, rounding out the week here. So I look forward to that. And if you have anything you want to say about Constantine, comment and we'll talk about Constantine. Is there any other shows that you are going to be watching in the fall here that you want to talk about? I don't know if I'm going to be reviewing any other shows, because the schedule that I have already is a little bit tight, especially moving forward here in October. But I'd like to talk about other shows with you guys in the comments and stuff. So hit me up on Twitter, hit me up in the comments, and we can talk about all these different shows. What worked this week and what didn't work this week? I tried a lot of different things out with the videos, with the formats of the videos, with adding text on the bottom here, adding images on the sides here. I think I'm going to continue to add the images and continue to talk about the episodes in a very structured way. I'm just trying to figure out what structure works best. Do I talk in a complete review sense where I go step by step what happened in the episodes? Or do I talk, more about my thoughts on specific scenes? What did you guys enjoy the most? Let me know. With that said, are there any other videos that you would like to see me do after all this is said and done? Like after everything is off for the summer or whatever, is there any type of video, like a character highlight video or maybe a live review of a finale or something like that, that you guys would be interested in watching? Let me know in the comments, because those are some ideas that I've been throwing around just to kind of keep the channel moving forward, like I said. So that'll do it for this week, guys. Again, thank you all so much for your support. Please continue to support these videos, share these videos with your friends, get these videos out there on Twitter, on Facebook, on Tumblr, wherever you got to get these videos out. And I look forward to reviewing all these different shows with you guys. So I will see you guys next week. I've been Dharma Helper. This has been DH Reviews, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good weekend.